Have you noticed how the word of the Lord is begging us to ask God? Jesus is saying the same thing. He is asking us to ask God. He says that if you ask in my name, it will be done for you. Whatever that you ask in my name, the Father will do it for you. In James, it also says that, yet you do not have anything because we have not asked God for it. Notice that we know that, meaning that it is the knowledge. We know that God exists. We know that if we ask for anything, that He will give it to us. But someone said, knowing that God exists and believing in Him are two different things. So this got me thinking that you can know, that you can ask. You might have knowledge that your God exists and that you must ask. However, it goes down to, do you believe that what you ask for can be done for you? So I remember this other day calling my grandmother, and we're having a conversation, and I told her that, you know what, I'm still looking for this job thing. And then she said to me, believe that God, trust rather. She said, trust that God will give it to you. And I was like, okay. At that time, I was expecting her to preach, to quote some scriptures, to pray for me, all of these things. But guess what? She didn't. She didn't even quote, not even once. She didn't even pray. She didn't even go any further. She stopped there. She just said, trust that He will give you what you are asking for. And that's it. And I was standing there speaking to her, and then she went on to ask about others. How is my mom doing? How is my siblings doing? And my airtime depleted, I think. And this, after 2 days after I had that conversation with my grandmother, I remember I was washing the dishes and something in me was like, go and pray. And then I left the dishes, I went to pray. And as I was praying, something in me was like, ask for the job, because I always do, right? Because that's what I was praying about. That was one of my prayer items. And I remember asking for it. And as I was asking, something in me prompted again and said, do you believe what you just said? And I was like, okay, this is the first. Do you believe what you just asked God for? And because I know God, I cannot hide from Him. I know that God can see my heart. Even if I can hide from Him, He examines the heart. He knows the heart. He created the heart. He knows it. He can see when I'm lying and when I tell the truth. And I was like, no, I don't. And I looked into my heart and I was like, no, I don't have faith. I don't believe that I can get this job. I've been rejected so many times, to an extent that I did not even believe that I, the child of the Lord, also should have the privileges and the opportunities and the blessings that others can have. It was not like God didn't hear my prayer, but it was a faith thing. So when we go back to the scripture, it was this other time when Jesus was with His disciples, and after He had cursed the fig tree, right? And they asked Him, how did that happen so fast? If you read that story over there, He explains it. He says that if you believe, if you pray, you will receive what you ask for. If you have faith. If we realize that when Jesus is asking for us to have faith, it doesn't say that have massive faith, as massive as the ocean. He doesn't ask much, but He says in His word, if you have faith as small as the mustard seed, that's enough. Just a tiny little bit of faith. That's it. That's all you need in order for you to receive what you ask for. There was also where His disciples were casting out the demons and they couldn't. The demons didn't go anywhere. And after He had cast them out, they asked Him, why we're not able to cast those demons out? And then He said to them, it's because you lack faith, because you didn't believe. because you didn't have faith. We also see faith when this woman with the issue of blood that we all know, she believed that I am going to be healed because I'm going to touch Jesus. I'm going to grab his robe and I will be healed. And when Jesus turned around and spoke to her, he looked at her and he said, your faith has healed you. So we can know that we must ask because it is written, because we read it every day, because we know it. And we know that our God exists. We know that we should ask, but do we believe? So when you ask, when you pray, do you believe? Do you trust that he can do what you ask him for? Or you are like that young Ndombi, that young myself who didn't have any faith anymore. I was lip serving. The faith was not there anymore. The trust that it can happen to me as well was not there. But yes, my lips were moving. On a daily basis, I was asking God, fasting, praying, reading his word, but still, it was all here. Knowing that I should ask, knowing that my God exists, knowing that he loves me. However, I lacked this. That's why the mountains didn't move. That's why nothing was changing, because the faith wasn't there. So when you are asking today, whatever that you are asking for, I don't want you to stack that young myself who was so naive, who couldn't see each and every single time that I would kneel down and speak to God. The only thing that would come out of my mouth was complaining, was moaning, was comparing myself with friends that are working and I'm not. All of those things, that was the only things that were coming out of my mouth instead of believing. I know it might not be easy, but I had to work on my faith. And sometimes you have to even pray for it. Ask God to give you faith so that you believe and trust him when you ask him today. So I also want to hear from you. So do leave a comment in the comment section down below. Tell me, where are you right now? Do you have that faith? Do you have that just enough or keep you going? That small little faith that Jesus is speaking about. Or you don't have any. Just look into your heart and ask God to also examine your heart so that you know where you are standing. So that when you go ahead today, when you ask, when you pray, you've got that faith in you, knowing that you can move mountains because your Father had said so. So be blessed. I will see you next time.